Coventry Mall in Pottstown, Pennsylvania has had some ups and downs. When I arrived in October 2019, I saw a recovering mall winding down for the night. And unfortunately, I'm sorry to say that this successful recovery was destroyed. Let us discuss the mall while I take you mall walking this evening. Coventry Mall opened in October 1967, originally known as the Norco Mall. Upon opening, the mall featured Sears, Brits Department Store, and Thrift Drug as original anchors. At the time, the mall was a simple open-air mall with modest offerings, but as popularity gained, the mall would be enclosed in 1974 and would be expanded to bring in new retail space along with J.M. Fields as an additional anchor. The mall even gained a two-screen Fox Theaters cinema at this time. (1978) would see J.M. Fields turn over to Jefferson Ward, and later in 1982, the Norco Mall would have its name changed to Coventry Mall during another expansion that brought forward even more retail space. Jefferson Ward would then become Bradley's in 1985. That same year, Pomeroy's came into the scene and would quickly become Bon-Ton in 1987. While that was happening, the two-screen cinema would close shop and would be converted into a food court. This was done due to a much larger 8-screen cinema being built as an outparcel. In 1993, Bon-Ton would flee the scene and would be replaced by the superior department store Boscov's, which would go forward to expand into a 2-floor department store with rooftop parking, the latter of which is no longer utilized. Meanwhile, Brits Department Store had become a Hess's, which would be bought out by Bon-Ton in 1994. However, Bon-Ton had no interest in taking over the space at Coventry Mall, so this would become JCPenney instead, albeit briefly. So far, nothing more than a little bit of turbulence. But then the 2000s is when things would become rocky. At first, it wouldn't be too bad as Bradley's closed, which would become subdivided for Ross Dress for Less and a Dick's Sporting Goods. JCPenney would have been long gone, but the space would find refuge for a Kohl's store in 2004. And around this time, Stoltz Real Estate would have acquired the mall from a company called the Goodman Company, whom owned the mall at the time. And now things were starting to sour in the later years. In 2012, Sears would close shop as Fast Eddie began to kick the world's slowest liquidation sale into gear. Following this time, Jones Lang LaSalle would acquire the mall under receivership when another owner, Coventry Retail LP, failed to make necessary payments on the property. Later on, the mall would be auctioned off to the U.S. Bank National Association for a steal at $49.5 million, with Jones Lang LaSalle continuing to handle operations. 2014 would see Limerick Furniture open in the former Sears space, while Ross Dress for Less would close shop. Enter April 2016, when Coventry Mall was sold to Penmark Management Company. Penmark had plans to fill the vacancies throughout the mall with alternative businesses as well as restaurants. Gabe's discount stores would open up in part of the former Sears space, followed by Joann in 2018. It did seem like things were starting to look up for Coventry Mall as inline occupancy began to trickle upwards. And by the time I arrived in October 2019, I was thinking that I might be reporting on a successful recovery for the mall. However, there's always a however now. Good times have a nasty habit of being screwballed, and in this case, the coup of 2020 happened, leading governments across the world to shut down everything in a short-sighted panic. Pennsylvania was no exception. This would have ended up decimating a number of smaller businesses and even larger chains which were starting to hurt already. Just like that, Coventry Mall was set back several pegs, almost entirely back to square one. So now what? Is there any hope for Coventry Mall? Well, it's not entirely a lost cause just yet, as community events are still being hosted in the mall and on its lots as of the making of this video. Maybe Penmark has another plan lined up? We'll have to wait and see. Well, we've all heard a certain someone's opinion on this mall, and how it's cold, uninviting, and ugly. How many of you hate this mall because of that opinion? Well, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. And in my humble opinion, I don't think this mall looks too bad. Sure, it's a little on the bland side, but I've seen far, far uglier. And at night, I actually think this mall looks pretty good with the way the lighting is handled. Overall, I think it's alright. Not amazing, but certainly not the worst. I haven't too much in the way of story time for this mall. It was a standard sort of night in a major road trip. Although, Corrado's Pizza was pretty good for mall pizza, and last I heard, they're still open as of the making of this video. Overall, we'll see what comes of the Coventry Mall over the next few years. I would prefer to report on a success story, but we have to make do with what we got. Maybe Penmark has a plan up their sleeve. And we are just about done with this mall walk. What did you think of this mall? Did you enjoy it? Did you hate it? Why not share your own thoughts and insight in the comments below? And of course, as always, hit that like button and subscribe for more malls if you haven't already. Next episode, we debut in Kentucky with what I would call an all-time favorite of mine. Trust me, it's gonna be good. Thank you for having me, Pottstown, and until next time, this is Doomie Grunt wishing you and the Coventry Mall farewell and good luck in this mad, mad, mad world. Coventry Mall in Pottstown, Pennsylvania. This is the third time I've said Pennsylvania. Somebody help me.